Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Justice. I'm a coordinator with the Digital Learning and Instructional Technology Department here in Clark County School District. I've been with the school district for 16 years as an educator at West Prep High School. I worked at Coronado High School. I worked as a professional development strategist for a grant that provided one-to-one Chromebooks for students all throughout the state of Nevada. And I'm excited here today to go over, as the coordinator now, to go over what is this? Google Classroom and AI Made Easy. Today's session will be recorded, and I'll send that recording to you later today. Take a look at the note on the bottom of our screen. It says, before we begin, select a standard or topic to develop classroom resources using AI. Google Classroom has some really awesome integrated, it's not really integrated, but it's available from Classroom, some really great tools that I wanted to share with you. I think they're actually better than just going to
VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks to script.
VoiceOver on.
Okay, give me a moment. There we go. All right. So yeah, but it's a really great, I think it's better and easier actually than just going to gemini.google.com. You can access it from Classroom, and we'll be doing that today here too. So let me get you guys the link. We'll be using Classroom. You'll want to log in with your nv.ccsd.net account. Grab that link right there, open up another tab. And so, I like tabs here. We have one tab is going to be our Meet here. You can use the visuals that I create as I share my screen on one of those tabs. And then on the second tab, I'll try to navigate and narrate you through what you should be doing on your other tab, which is using Classroom. We might have another tab open as well to actually go to Gemini. So we'll see what happens though later on. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's take a look at our learning intentions and success criteria. We are learning how to use AI tools within Google Classroom to help lesson plan and create digital handouts. And then we know that we will be successful if we can use AI integrated workflows within Classroom to design, format, and distribute instructional materials that enhance student engagement and classroom management. Start thinking right now a standard or topic that you'd like to develop classroom resources using AI. I used to teach environmental science, and we had a great curriculum. And so I'm going to use topic 7.5, indoor air pollutants. You should be doing something similar. I know that I mentioned this yesterday. If you were with our session yesterday, I was mentioning that the AI might know or understand references to the Tier 1 instructional materials. So if you mention and are really specific about the unit or the module that you're working within, as you start to prompt out AI, mention those instructional materials. That way we can create some stuff that will supplement those Tier 1 instruction materials. If you can't think of anything to make, then choose study skills is a good kind of practice topic that is all encompassing. Let's take a look at our agenda. We're going to set up a sandbox. That's like a term that we use with Canvas. We're going to use it here too, but we'll be doing that within Classroom in a moment. I'll also give you like a little show you around, I suppose. And then we're going to create a little mini unit using that topic or standard that you want to teach. We'll craft a compelling hook for your topic. We'll create and assign a Google Doc handout. See how to do that. We'll create and assign a quiz simply, and then we'll actually make a gem. And all of that is a lot easier than it sounds, trust me, because it's just going to be prompting the AI. All right. So let's get started here. So I gave you guys the link earlier. Let's get into classroom.google.com. Now and then let's look at if you want to, you can look at your dashboard, we'll call it, or you can look at My Meet for the visual. Let's start in the very upper left-hand corner. You'll see those 3 dashes. That will open up your sidebar menu to kind of expand it to see what some of those icons look like. As you start to have a lot more Google Classrooms in your home area, you'll be able to access all of those easily from that sidebar menu as well. Yeah, and also I'll show you here there too, like, right, look in the upper left-hand corner, it says home. Look, four links, the fourth link down is Gemini. We'll be going to Gemini in a little bit. All right, so I don't want to click there until we've done the overview of Classroom. All right, what I really love about Classroom is that as you start to create assignments in your different classes, those assignments will actually show up in not only your calendar, but also the students' calendars as well, increasing their productivity and their understanding of how we can use some of these productivity tools later on in life when we start to become professionals here in our own lives, right? So you can access that calendar from that sidebar menu as well. All right, so take a look here. You can move these different tabs around. By tabs, I mean classroom cards, we'll call them, which is kind of cool. So here's the wild part. Look in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that plus sign? That's where you can join a class or create a class. We're going to click create a class in a moment. I just want to point out, though, that you will not have to do this next school year. Next school year, all of your sections will automatically be added and populated based off of what's happening in Infinite Campus. Now, there's 9 schools in the Clark County School District where the principal asked us to turn off Classroom. So I'm talking to the vast majority of you guys out there. Your classes will automatically populate. Hey, the other cool thing too is that the rostering will also happen automatically. So you won't have to have students click join class and then give them a code. Students, as they enroll into your courses through Infinite Campus or drop out of your courses in Infinite Campus, that roster will automatically populate. What am I saying? The students will automatically be populated or removed from your classrooms as well. The cool thing here about Classroom too, I'll mention this, is that you'll be able to send grades. So as you create assignments in Classroom, you'll be able to send grades to Infinite Campus as well. So that's really awesome. That was not a feature before we turned off Classroom for all students. It's a new thing, and it's one of the reasons why Clark County School District decided to turn it back on because of that really great integration. It's a no-brainer, I think, for me. I'm a huge proponent of Canvas. Oh my gosh. When I was a classroom teacher, a high school teacher, all of my assignments came in through Canvas. All my assessments, everything, I organized everything through Canvas. And ever since I started to play around with Classroom, I'm like, I can probably figure out a way to get it over to Classroom because it's a lot easier. I do a lot of like trainings with teachers on how to use Canvas, and I'll have like one-on-one sessions, and I'll have them share their screen, and I can see like it's easy for me to navigate Canvas. It's really frustrating to watch other people do it because it's like there's a lot of clicking, and then there's stuff that doesn't really make sense. Classroom, I think, is a lot more intuitive, and you'll see that in a moment. So let's, in the upper right-hand corner, let's, from your home or dashboard, I want you to click on that plus sign, knowing that we won't have to do this next school year. Let's click Create Class. It'll say link and import SIS. No, just skip. All right, let's call this Sandbox. And then for me, I'm going to label it with today's date, just because I've been doing this session quite a bit, and it keeps me remembering which one's which. So work from the top down, right? Class name, that's the only required part. Forget all the other stuff. Let's click Create. And now you should have a sandbox. Before we move forward, I actually forgot to mention this. So have your sandbox open. I'm just going to go back to my home. I wanted to point this out. You might have classes from 10 years ago, 8 years ago, or whatever, right? You can archive these, and I highly suggest you do this. Otherwise, you're going to start to have hundreds of these over the, over a career. So, for example, take a look. This is my sandbox from late June. I will click on that vertical ellipsis, those 3 dots, click More Options, and this is where I can archive that class. In fact, it allows me to do like a little bulk archive if I wanted to. Boom. I'm not deleting them. I'm just removing them from my home area. If I wanted to bring it back, if I made a mistake, remember that sidebar on the left-hand side if you're looking at my screen? This is where I can find all of those archived classes. This is also where I can permanently delete them or restore them. Kind of cathartic process to click. I'm going to just do it. Delete it forever. Never happened. You can forget everything. Okay, good. All right, and that I love this sidebar here too because I can very quickly navigate back to my other class that I just created. So the one thing I really don't like about Classroom is that this is the default view. Here is the stream. This will happen with your students too. So as they enter into your class, they'll see this stream, and as you start to add things to this, you'll start to see that the stream is kind of like a chronological Facebook post area here. So as you start to add announcements or assignments and all that stuff, so it'll start to populate in the center area. There's not a lot of organization to it. That's why I don't really like the default view is being the stream. There's a lot more organization that we can do within classwork. Let's go to that in a moment, though. I just want to point this out. Again, you won't have to have students join the class. So if you want to, you can just get rid of that class code. I'm going to do that. I highly suggest, not highly, I'll just say, do not add students as a teacher to this. You don't want to give students the rights of a teacher. Once you do that, they're now able to do some stuff that they might not be able to. So if you have like a teacher assistant, or what are they called, a student aide, don't add them on as a teacher. It's a red herring, guys. It's not a good idea. I also suggest that you don't add other teachers as teachers too, because you start to have all of their different cards and their homes page, and it becomes kind of difficult to manage. Just keep it you is what I would suggest. Of course, you can do whatever you want. All right, take a look. I can customize this little banner. Let's click customize. So I'm still on stream. Notice that you can select like one of these Google uploaded pictures here. I just put some of these photos. I have some Japan photos. I just went to Japan. I wanted to find a cool picture like that one. Let's see what that looks like a real actual picture. Yeah, ooh, that does look cool. I don't know if sake kegs is a good idea for students, but it is for me. All right, very cool. I can also change the theme color, have a different color for each of your periods. That looks pretty cool, I think. Let me check this out. Yeah. All right, not bad. All right, we'll check out announcement in a minute when we start to do some other stuff here. We're all still on the tour. So at the top, again, stream is where we've been. Let's click on classwork. And this is where we can start to organize our materials a little bit more. In Canvas, we had modules, and that's, you can add all your stuff to a module or whatever. In Classroom, we have topics. So let's click on that blue topic button, that plus create button. And we can add assignments. We'll do all that in a minute. A quiz. We can add a question, like a formative assessment question. It shows up as a multiple choice question for students. We can add material. In Canvas, we can add pages. That's really wonderful, right? In fact, yesterday we were making pages within Canvas. We don't really have that option here in Classroom, but you can add a doc, and that doc can house your content. You can also add videos, YouTube videos. You can add slide decks as well. So while we don't have pages to organize our content the way that Canvas does, we can still add our content. That's what I like. Canvas is great if you're an online school, if you're doing an asynchronous class with your students. Here, the vast majority of the people on the call today here are, right, we're doing a blended learning environment, right? We have the students face to face. We just need to get some quick assignments out to the students real fast, or a link to our slide deck. That's what I like Classroom for. It's a little bit better designed for the blended environment. And so, yeah, while we don't have pages, we do have the ability to still get content out. Some of you might wonder, like, okay, wow, I did have actually a really great assignment from 10 years ago. Can I access some of those and bring it over? That's going to be that reuse post. So if I click reuse, I can access some of the materials from my other classes and bring them into this one. So think about that, like we're got a sandbox here. That's what you would be doing with your student-facing class. Maybe create some stuff in your sandbox, and then you can send it over by that reuse post. Show you again, reuse post area here. I mentioned we're going to make a gem. We can also link to Notebook LMs, really awesome. But at the very last link at the very bottom is topic. Let's click topic. And earlier I asked you to create or think of a topic or a standard that you'd like to develop some materials on. Go ahead and type in the name of that topic. Can't think of anything, use study skills. All right. There we go. Now we can start to add stuff to it. All right. Finish up our tour here, though. So your students from their student view will have stream, classwork, and grades. I don't believe they have people, but this is where you can see the teachers and the students. Again, you won't have to add those students individually. That will happen automatically with our integration with Infinite Campus. The grades, I'll be honest with you, I don't 100% know what this looks like here because I don't have students here, but I imagine that as we start to create our different assignments, we'll have access to it kind of like the grade book in Canvas. And there will also be a button that allows us to sync our materials here at Classroom over to Infinite Campus. And I think analytics is actually pretty cool. As you start to have students in here, it'll tell you how students are interacting with your class, if they're opening up stuff. If they're not, also the assignment completion, all that good stuff. All right, so let's go back to classwork, and I want to take a look at my agenda again. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so we're going to craft a compelling hook for our topic. This is where we start to get into Gemini now, right? We've created that topic. We've made a little sandbox here in Classroom. Remember our sidebar menu, that fourth link down from the top is Gemini. Let's clickety-click. You can also access it from the link I'm about to put into the chat. Are there any questions, by the way, before we move on to the next part? Too much? Not enough? Let me know. Give me use those emojis at the bottom. Give me a heart if you're like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. Yeah. All right. Give me a sad. Give me a crying tear if you're like, oh God, here we go. All right, nobody. Oh, good. Whew. All right, nice. Thank you, thank you. All right, folks. It looks like we're ready to move forward here. All right, we got some classroom lovers here. I love that. Okay, let's take a look. So now we're at Gemini. This is still Gemini, but it's accessible very easily through Classroom. And like I said, it's science. You're gonna love it. Let's craft a compelling hook. It's the yellow, like little light bulb symbol here. These are all like pre-designed. If you remember gems from yesterday, if you were in my session, a gem is a prompt that you can use over and over again. And these are kind of like gems in that the prompt is already written. It's going to create you the same content, the same output every single time. All we have to do is input a little bit of information here. So let's click on Craft a Compelling Hook. Let's type in our target grade and then that topic that we're working with. Oops. Right? You might want to be specific here, right? Use the 3 C's, context and clarity is a good way to remember. Give yourself, the AI, plenty of context. And we're going to do that through grade 11. And then give them more context, give them the standard number. Mention the specific Tier 1 instructional materials by module or unit name. Be really clear, give clarity to the AI so it knows exactly what you're expecting. I'm going to say AP Viro SCIA curriculum. That's how specific I'm going to be. Choose a way to engage your students. Also note that you can upload some materials too. So if you have a slide deck that goes along with this, perfect. In fact, I do from yesterday. Let's do that. Never done this before, so let's see what this does. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's see what happens with that. And then, I want to choose a couple of these. How about some problem solving, maybe a surprising fact? Ooh, so you can choose more than just one or even your own. We'll click generate. This is what was really hard for me as a teacher is that like I start to get bored. Like the fourth time or fifth time I do the same thing. Or like every year, like, okay, this is the year where I do that thing. This is what's really cool is that like AI can help us make it fresh. If you wanted to make it fresh every period, you could. These are ways to start out a lesson, right? And what's cool about it is that it always gives you six. So if you click to generate, you should now see what I'm seeing, which is six different ways that we can spark curiosity from me, solve problems, or get some surprising fact. If you look at those materials too, oftentimes it's very simple. Like I'm looking here, whiteboards and markers is all I would need. One of these is none. So that's the one I'm going to choose. I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to get into it, right? So we got hemoglobin high. That's whatever yours is. Here's what I want you to do. Notice at the bottom in the lower right-hand corner, we can export to docs. If we don't do that, we lose all of these forever. But that's okay because we could just generate something different later on. Or if we don't care to save them, actually, let's just click on that little copy button. So I just want you to choose one of them. Do it randomly, doesn't matter. We'll click copy. And now we've just copied the one that we wanted to work with. Let's go back to, okay, so are we good? Let's go back to that sandbox. So we copied one of them. Notice it's going to say like, okay, you're going to discard the change. You're not saving anything. That's fine unless you want to, but I'm just going to copy one because I don't need them all. Notice our default view is the stream. But that's actually fine because what I want to do is click new announcement. So I'm in stream, went back to my sandbox, default view is stream, find that light blue button, the one that says new announcement, and then paste in that compelling hook. One of the cool things about Canvas is our ability to cross-list courses. You can run all 5 sections of your biology class out of just one section. It's confusing on how to do that, of course, right? Like, but that doesn't happen. So we don't have cross-listing here in Classroom. But I can very quickly add a resource to all of my sections. So look at my screen, come back to the Meet visual. Notice that if I just clicked post, I'm going to send this to my one sandbox. But if I click on this little drop-down button right here, this is how I can access all of those different sections. And note, this is one of the reasons why we should try to clean up that and archive some of those classes, because this can get really confusing over time. But notice I'm just going to pretend I have 3 sections that all are going to receive this. And so I'll choose those 3 sections. And now instead of cross-listing, I can still send it out. Now here's the problem with that. If I notice a mistake or I forget to add my YouTube video or my slide deck for this, let's do that now. Add my slide deck, let's find it, boom. I'll have to go back to each one of those 3, 4, or 5 sections and individually edit them and add them. Okay, so just make sure you might double, triple check is going to become one of our rules here when we're adding something to multiple sections. If we make a mistake, we'll have to go back to each of those and fix it. All right, and there you go. Yeah, not bad. So this is my announcement. I'm going to send students out. Take a look at this. Look at the lower right-hand corner where it says post. If I just click post, I'm done. But notice that there's a little another option here. So I've got these save options with that arrow pointing downwards next to the post, to the right of the word post. Click on that. And notice that you have the ability to either make a draft, I guess, or schedule it out. And that's really cool too. So now I can, let's say I've got 3 different periods. One meets at 8 a.m., the second meets at 9, 10 a.m., and on. I don't want to send my announcement or my test or my assignment. You'll be able to do this with all of the different stuff you can make in Classroom. So now I can stagger it out, right? Which is kind of cool. Let's do that, sure. Oh, look at that one, works out nice. Perfect. So now I've got all 3 of my sections here will be sent this announcement at different times. They won't be able, I always had students, whenever I did this in Canvas, I had kids that would start to get into my assignment before they were even like had me that day, right? You're working on it first period. I have you 5th period. What are we doing? So you can really stagger this out so that those high flyer students don't zoom through your stuff during PE. All right, we'll click schedule and bingo. We got it. Any questions about that? Cool. Yeah. Okay. But wait, there's more. All right. Let me come back over here. Create and assign. Oh, this will be fun. Okay. This is going to be a little bit of a process here. So let's create and assign a Google Doc handout. We're going to have AI write the content for us. All right. Any questions about assignments or anything that I mentioned, scheduling posts? Looking at our time, we got plenty of time. Let's click on Gemini, that 4th link down from the top left. Click on Gemini. This time, so we craft a compelling, let's just take a look at some of those AI tools here, right? We can lesson plan. We'll generate a quiz later. That's the grand finale. Don't do that yet. We can re-level text, sure. We can create rubrics, write stories, that's a cool one. Misconceptions, translate text, that's awesome. Yesterday I showed you some Ignite AI features, and there's some text translation that happens in Canvas. Well, we can do that here too, very simply in Gemini as well. And then also look down here. So there's also some quick prompts here that will actually open us up into Gemini, like gemini.google.com. So like, let me just do this real fast as a demo. I'll click create, visualize a concept. Let's do this. Oh gosh, just see what happens. So, and then watch as ask Gemini, it's going to see what it does. Yeah. And just let it happen. Okay. There it goes. Yeah, that's what I was thinking it's going to do. It opens me up into a new tab, and now I'm in the Gemini platform, which is kind of cool. So those tools that don't have that little icon, like craft a compelling hook or write informational text, these will bring me over to what is this? To Gemini. All right, so let's get back to this. I wanted to create, let's write an informational text. Let's do this. We're going to turn this into a Google Doc handout. Go ahead and type in your target grade and the topic standard, reference anything, use the 3 C's, context, clarity, critique to help you out. Like generate learning objectives. You can modify those learning objectives, click generate. What I love about Gemini in Classroom is that it always gives you the same exact output. So if you start to find that style, you can sometimes when we use gemini.google.com from the other tab, it's not consistent in the way that it presents the stuff because it's always random, right? What I love about Gemini in Classroom is that it always gives me the same looking thing. For example, I've been doing this session now 4 or 5 times. It gives me a nice, good chunk of text appropriate for my grades, grade level, and then it always gives me these points of reflection and inquiry. Those are going to become the questions that students will answer in a minute. Now, we could, if we wanted to, look at the bottom right-hand corner. There's 2 buttons. One says Export to Docs. We'll do that in a moment. If I'm happy with this, though, if it's like the bell's about to ring in 3 minutes, I'm like, what am I going to do? First period. I can just add to class and, like, add it as material if I wanted to. I'm ready to go. Choose my class. I still have the ability to add it to all of my sections if I wanted to. But let's turn this. We've got some time. It's 15 minutes till that bell rings. So we're going to make a handout. That's the way I used to do it. I'm not going to do any of this outside of my work time. All right, just kidding. Okay, so let's click Export to Docs. Let's clean up this doc a little bit. When I was working with my Canvas classes, I was like, I'm teaching environmental science. I don't want to print anything, so I stopped printing. I don't know. I saved a lot of paper, I feel like, and money. But here's the thing, like with Google Docs, this doc is set up to exist within an 8.5 by 11 world, right? It's still assumed that you're going to print it. It looks like a piece of paper. I'm going to come up here to File. Click on File in the upper left-hand corner. I'll click Page Setup. And then I want to switch over to Pageless. Just takes away the idea of the fact that we're never going to print this. I think it looks better. Just one long website, really. I mean, isn't that what this is? Let's go around. Let's take a moment. If you want to watch my screen, I'm just going to kind of narrate as I go through. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff like target grade and topic. Maybe I'll change the bolded text, the title, to a proper heading, like heading 1. And maybe I'll do choose points of reflect the other bolded area. Maybe we'll make that heading 2. If I wanted to, right? Let's try, see if we can do this. Just going to go over here, insert image, maybe search the web. How do I do? Okay. Find a quick image. I could have, yeah, there we go, insert. I could have AI do that too. You saw earlier I made an image real fast, but you found something that could work here for me too. All right, not bad. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Find where it says points of reflection and inquiry. Let's turn this into a numbered list. So we'll select that paragraph and then in the top, find the 1, 2, 3, that numbered list sign. And then, yeah, it looks like there's some questions here. Yeah, let's start to turn them into individual questions. What I love about this too, you just might want to make this a material. Hey kids, get on there. I want you to read the informational text and then think about your answers to the points of reflection and inquiry at the bottom. Think about what your answers are going to be in a moment. I'm going to have you stand up, hand up, pair up. You're going to chat with this with some of the people around you, right? Talk about it as a group. I actually don't want to grade any of this stuff. And I love a formative assessment where the students are talking and we can give feedback live, face-to-face. That way they're doing something too instead of just cheating. But doing a handout. All right. Yeah, I always like to come up here, add a little space after each list item. I see this all the time. Then we come down here and we're like, okay, let's put a bunch of lines in, right? As if we're going to still print it out and the kids are going to like, no, here's what you do, watch. Just put a little hashtag at the end of it. You don't even need a new line. Just put a little hashtag. And what we'll do is select that hashtag and highlight it yellow. Now the kids know in the very first week of school, you say, hey kids, whenever you see a hashtag that's yellow, don't change the font, don't change the highlight color, but that's where you type, right? Come in here. And then they'll get it. And when you start to get these turned in, you can very quickly see the area where the students are typing within their doc. Pretty cool. Hey, that looks like a pretty good doc. Let me show you the reason why you shouldn't be worried about students cheating. I tell my kids, I show them this. Look in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that clock with the arrow that's pointing backwards? This is your version history. So if you click, I show them this on the New Line screen. I'm like, guys, Google records every keystroke. So when I think that you're cheating, I'll come over here and I'll look at your version history. If I see a chunk of text, like, right, think about it. I copied and pasted this in. So it started off as a blank page, and then all of a sudden it was no longer a blank page, right? Hey, the teacher just copied and pasted it. Well, the user is doing that too. If you see a chunk of text, the students are just magically have answers appear, you can assume then that they're cheating. And I would do this during, I go prepared into a student teacher conference or a parent teacher conference. And I'd ask Johnny, hey, are you doing your work? Let's talk a little bit about this. And say, oh, let's get into one of your Google Docs here. So let's click on the version history. Where did this chunk of text come from? It's very fun. Very passive aggressive opportunity here. I'm joking, but you know what I mean? Like you do still have that. You actually don't have that sort of security if you do paper-based. You just, they're still going to cheat. The kids that are going to cheat are going to cheat, whether they're copying it with pen and paper or they're copying and pasting from ChatGPT. At least you'll know what they're doing here. Now you could argue, well, the kids can ask on their phone and then they can just type it in individually. The kids are going to cheat when they want to cheat. So I think for me, what I tried to do is create an environment where, like, I'm going to give you the time to do the work. Do the work in class. You don't have to cheat. Just do it, right? Like, try to create that environment where, while we can cheat, we have all of the world's information at our fingertips on our phones. You got 20 minutes to do this. You might as well learn a little bit, right? With that said, what I would do too, I did start to rely a little too much on Google Docs. So I started thinking, like, what I would do if I had to do this again. So I would turn, like, the last question or whichever question's the most interesting, the one that I actually want them to not cheat on. I'd come over here, maybe I'd have some convention. That was like that blue highlighted question in your handout. That's the one actually where I want you to write it out in your composition notebook, right? With a date and everything. So now that becomes the ticket for them to retake their exams. I'm going to ask them to show me their composition notebook. Show me the record that you've been participating in class. And so they'll have, like, the dates and then their answers to the questions, the blue question, whatever the blue question is for the day, right? That's what I would probably do to, that there's still, like, some really important stuff that hand-eye learning that happens when students actually physically write things out with pencil. So incorporate that too into your class, right? But you can use Classroom to get those questions out to students without having to print anything. All right, it's all on how you structure the class. Okay, God, I'm talking way too much. Let's get back to the classroom. So now we've got a gorgeous looking handout. Let's come back to our classroom. We'll click on Sandbox in that sidebar menu. Default view is Stream. Let's switch over to Classwork. And then let's click on Plus Create. This part's super important. If you forget this, you got to do it over again. We're going to click plus blue button Create. Let's click and create an assignment. Let's title it in the topic that we're working on, whatever you want it to be. Notice this is one of the things I want to do in my advanced Google Classroom session is practice sets and YouTube. You could make an Edpuzzle style video quiz for free without Edpuzzle. Using YouTube, that's for another day. Check it out though, it's really neat. I actually don't know what read along is. Um, but yeah, it's check that out too. I think that's got some promise in there. Let's click on Drive though, and then we're going to find that handout that we just made. We'll select it from our Drive, click Add. Now, here's what I was going to say. Don't forget to do this part. If you don't, if you forget, you'll have to do it over again. Do you see this drop down right next to that brand newly uploaded doc? It says File Sharing Options. It's a drop down. Currently, students can view the file. You want to have rights to it. Otherwise, you can't see the version history. So we've got to change that to students, make a copy for each student. When it does that, it will add their name to the title of their doc. You own the rights. When the student turns in their assignment, they no longer have the rights to it. So if you choose the other option, students can view the file. Kids, I want you to make a copy of the doc. The kid owns that doc. You want to own it. So make sure that you make a copy for each student. And then their editing rights go away once the student submits that answer. Pretty cool, right? Notice in the right-hand corner, I can add this to multiple sandboxes, or multiple sections, I should say. I have control over due dates. One thing that we'll do in the very beginning of the school year next year is you'll be able to import like your 10% formative, 90% summatives, and you won't have to set the category. It'll already be done for you, but you can choose formative or summative. Add those rubrics that AI helped us make. Let's check plagiarism, sure. And then don't forget this part. Currently, if I just clicked assign, it's going to add it without any organization at all. Remember, we created that topic, that module, we're calling it. So we'll want to choose that topic or module. And then just like that assignment from earlier, I still can schedule this out. So don't click assign, click on that little arrow pointing down next to the right of the word assign in the upper right-hand corner. We'll click schedule. And then just like before, I have some control here as to when these assignments are published, when they're sent to students. If you have an A-B day, if you're at a block school, this is going to be great for you, right? I think. Oh, look at that, close submissions after due date. Oh, yeah. Got to do it. Oh, and we also, okay, make sure, this is the thing, there's no cross listing. So this is the next best thing, is that we can add these to our different sections, but we got to remember to be consistent. If I forget to add this assignment to the topics in my other sections, I'll have to go to my individual sections and move them, which increases our work and decreases our productivity. So just be careful, make sure it works. Okay, well, I'm just noticing the copy settings to all. Love that. All right, let's click schedule, and then we're done. Check out those practice sets. You can upload, well, I don't want to, I'm giving you too much. All right, pretty cool. Questions? I know I start to get cognitive overload. I'm recording the session. If it's too much or you got lost along the way, this I'll send you the link to the recording by the end of today. All right, any preguntas? Give me a heart if you're into this. Yeah, sad face if you're like, no more. No sad faces. This is good. All right. Okay, who's going to embrace? Give me that little triumphal symbol here next to the thumbs up if you're going to embrace Google Classroom next year. Yeah, I think this is great for elementary teachers. I know there's a lot of ES right now on our call. Again, I'd be doing this in high school and middle school. All right. Yeah, cool. Okay. Let's go back over here. Gosh, I talk way too much, but we've done all of this. And luckily, with the magic of AI, these two last items, you're going to see how easy it is. Like, I need to stall. That's why I'm asking any questions. All right. How did you get the sandbox as I got here late? All right. I made it. So from the home, I go to classroom.google.com, and don't do this next year, but because your classes will automatically be created by Infinite Campus, we'll click on the upper right-hand corner plus, and then we created a sandbox. We named it the word sandbox. All right, I've got a lot more information about that. Of course, you'll be able to review in that video.
Excuse me, I do have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned something about turning on a setting to own the student's work. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why would that be beneficial for a teacher?
So all the students' work. What does that mean? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, I don't know. From what I understood when you made that comment was that we turn on a setting to own their works. This way, we own their submission. Is that correct?
It's make a copy of it for the students. You can do this in Canvas too. But yeah, it's to me it's critical. If the student owns the doc and you're curious what the version history is, if you just have viewing rights, you can't look at that version history. The student owns the doc. Also, by the way, when you do the session again or the section and teach the same class next year, you reuse that post. Some smart kid has a kid brother or sister or a friend that's now in your class, they can share that doc over to them. And that happens, trust me.
Gotcha.
So when you own the docs, the students, you're also giving the student editing rights. So when they submit the assignment, that editing rights go away. It's almost like when you turn in a piece of paper, the kid can't keep typing within or writing within the piece of paper. So it's doing something similar if you make a copy for your students.
That makes sense. Now, would we need to have, I mean, I don't know if students are aware that teachers are owning their work and
Maybe the word
regardless of,
owning isn't the right one. It's you're sharing. You create the think of it as like you made the copy downstairs in the copy place. You're giving the kids the paper.
yeah,
Then they turn in the paper. A similar thing, right? You're creating a copy for the student. It exists on your drive. You have editing rights. You're also giving editing rights to that student as well.
okay.
The
Do
word
the
own,
students be
yeah,
aware of the owning rights?
yeah, talk about it. Absolutely. That would be number one thing that I talk about with my students in the first week. Like, I own these. You also own them too. I'm sharing them with you. You're going to type within them. When you turn them in, you don't have the ability to type within them anymore. If you
Perfect.
don't do that, the student has that you're like, okay, what is the editing right? What does the version history look like? Can you give me editing rights to your doc on your drive? The
Yeah.
kid, oh, sure, I'll do that tomorrow. Yeah, Holly says additional insight. The teacher has access to all versions, so teachers can see if they cheat. Yeah, that's true too. When I was doing Google Classroom back in the day, like 8 years ago or something like that, I think if you go into my drive, you'd see folders with all of my student work from all of the previous years. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but that's the result of having the system make a copy for each of the students.
Got you. Okay,
Otherwise,
perfect. Thank you.
yeah, sure. And again, otherwise, when the student views, if you don't choose make a copy for the student, then the student, you'll tell the kids, okay, guys, open up that doc. Good. Go up here to file, make a copy. Like it's then like, how do you do that? It becomes a classroom management thing. It streamlines your process when you make that copy for each of those kids. Highly suggest you do that. Jessica, I think that's still up. You said 90-10. I think that's just I don't know if that is district wide. Definitely talk to your supervisor about what that ratio is supposed to be. Okay. I think personally, I think it should be 90-10, but or 80-20, but yeah, I don't know. talk to your administrator about that. That's not decisions that I make, certainly. All right. Yeah, Holly's got some additional insight there. All right, let's click on, now we're got 11 minutes. So let's do make a test. So from the top left, fourth link down, click on Gemini. Let's click generate a quiz. So it's that purple button, the one that has question mark on it. We're in Gemini in Classroom. I'll give you the link again in the chat. Click there, choose generate a quiz. And just like we did last time, fill in that context, be clear. If it doesn't give you what you want, critique. Number of questions, let's make it 10. Type in your topic. Keep clicking those blue buttons, right? Generate learning objectives. I'll wait a moment for you guys to catch up. If you want to move forward, choose those question types at the bottom. Note that multiple choice and true false are automatically graded, great for formatives. If you choose short answer and long answer, you'll have to manually grade those. AI is not doing that, although I'm sure you can write a gem for it. And then we'll click generate questions. Now you might say, oh my God, now I got to copy and paste this into some what, right? Now scroll down to the bottom. You're seeing me do really bad thing. Like I'm just saying, this is perfect. In reality here, we're going to, if we have a lot more time, we're going to be reading that informational text, vetting it for accuracy, looking for bias that might be present in the AI's training materials. Same thing with these questions, okay? I had to kind of joke a little bit about this because we're kind of getting through this real fast in the last 9 minutes, but this is an important part of our job here now in the era of AI is we're still in charge of this stuff, right? And we're in charge of ensuring its accuracy too. AI can make lots of mistakes. Take a look at the bottom. We can modify with a prompt. Hey, I didn't like question number 9, change it, or use different academic vocabulary for number 8. But I want to click on export. And then actually, let's just add this right to a class and see how fast that looks. Watch what it does. This is what I really love about Classroom. I'd be doing this all the time, like getting formative assessments out to students, especially ones that are automatically graded. I can add this to my sandbox. Let's add it as a quiz assignment. Should open up my section I chose. And what's really cool about this, like I was trying to say, is that now we've got a form-based quiz right here that's set up like a quiz already. All of those questions are automatically added. If they're multiple choice or true false, the correct or wrong answers are already indicated. Like I said, if you chose short answer, long answer, those are ones that you'd have to read manually. You have to do that still. But pretty cool, right? And we click add to class, so it just brings up that panel real fast. Let's go ahead and add that topic title. I love locked mode on Chromebooks. I'll be honest, I haven't tested that out. But it says respondents will not be able to open tabs or other applications while taking this quiz. That sounds great. I've turned on grade importing, cool. And then notice that just like the other assigned panels that we've dealt with so far, we can add this to multiple sections. We have the ability to schedule this out. I would absolutely do that with quizzes. That way kids in your 5th period aren't taking it when you've posted for everyone. Make sure we add it to the correct topics or modules, and we're going from there. I wanted to check out what happens when I click copy settings to all. Yeah, there we go. Still have to do that part. Ooh, with a quiz, absolutely close submissions after due date. That's cool. Okay. Cool stuff, right? Now we've got a quiz. So we've got some content in our class. Let's go back to that class. Yeah, Randy's into it. Click on classwork. We've got, notice we'll probably, for me, I like chronological order. So I'll have my content first, followed by my quiz. We can move these around any which way we want. There's one last thing left on our agenda here, and that's to create a gem. Are there any questions here about what we just did, that quiz? I know I'm kind of moving fast here. Maria, I see that your hand's raised. It might be just because you were responding to something I mentioned earlier. Okay. All right, folks, gang. Just like we've done before for our assignment and the quiz assignment, let's click on plus create. Last thing that we're going to do is quickly make a gem. And you're like, how am I going to do this in 4 minutes? Let's click plus create, choose gem. Like if you've ever used gems before, I can select a gem, one that maybe is about my topic specifically. Maybe it's a little tutor for it, but look at this. If you just click create new, I love this. I can just make one already. Like, how about the study partner? And what it will do is, and let's choose my topic, my content from earlier, that assignment that has all of that information in there. I'll choose that as my knowledge base. So now when I create this gem, Google's AI experts have already written the prompt for us. Pretty cool. And it's all right there. You can check it out. This one's called Study Partner. Maybe I'll call it for topic 7.5. And read those instructions. It'll say, it's not going to just give the students the answers. It's a pretty long prompt, actually, pretty long series of instructions. And click update. And now I can add that gem very quickly. Let's call it Study Partner into my topic or module area. Let's add it to all of my different sections. Again, I have the ability to schedule this out. But for me, I'm just going to post it. Definitely check out. So if you've gone through that process here and have created that gem, maybe try it out. See what, put it through its paces a little bit and see if it actually works. Pretty cool stuff, folks. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to it. It's a really great tool. I think, like I said, I was a Canvas aficionado. I really love my Canvas. I feel like I would love Classroom just as much. All right, and everybody asks, are we replacing Canvas with this? No, like that. Those sorts of decisions come actually from your school site administrator. They might have opinions about which platform you should be using within your school. For me, I would try to convince my principal, like I would probably use both. I don't know, because there's discussion posts on Canvas, but you don't have that on Classroom. There's some trade-offs. It's like having a Costco versus Sam's Club membership. You kind of want to have both. So I would convince him to let me do both, but I know that's a really controversial statement, and because it can be really confusing for not just the teachers, but also the parents and the students. So, but I'd probably try to make it work. But talk to your school site administrator about which platform you guys will be using. I'll do a quick, I've got 2 minutes left. I'll do a quick chat here about this. I do a digital learning lab. It's a 30 to 45-minute virtual session. We can do a face-to-face too, delivered during your department's PLC. So if you're like, we need to bring Classroom to our department here, let me know. Send this information to your department chair if you want to, or your school site administrator. We can do a whole group. But I like a small environment. That way you can ask more pointed questions. We can do it not just about Classroom, but Gemini, GEMS, anything you want, really. Canva AI. The sky's the limit for instructional technology. All right. something to think about here for next school year as you're planning out your PL and your PLCs. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a feedback survey